The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Oh my god, this is like 2 episodes in 1 week. This is crazy.
Wow. That's so crazy.
So crazy.
Living life on the edge.
Living life. So I am JD, I am your host, and we've got Dustin with us here today.
Hello.
Nice. And joining us for the first time...
I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah. And joining us for the first time is Matt.
Hey! Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah. We're trying to...
I know you already know this, but they don't know. But I originally wanted to make my debut on that BoJack episode, but more so after the fact, because when I found out that you had another newcomer named Matt, then you could have had like a double dosage of new Matts, and it would have been pretty spectacular.
Matt to Matt, back to back.
Well, then we would have to get Matt Wilson back on the show, and then we'd have 3 Matts.
It's gonna be Mattception up in here.
Right.
Speaking of BoJack, this is a crossover episode.
Oh my goodness!
See what I did there?
Oh my god!
You did a thing.
You did the thing.
Very clever.
So yeah,
I know a thing or two about the horse show.
Yeah. So OK K.O had a big old 4-way, million-way crossover this week, and we didn't want to have to wait till next week to talk about it, so we're doing it now.
We're doing it live.
Kind of.
You know what? You got to make your own rules. You can't play by the rules that they expect. You got to record this podcast whenever you feel is best.
Exactly.
It's got to be spontaneous.
Yeah. OK K.O has been teasing this big crossover that was going to be between them, Steven Universe, Ben 10, and Teen Titans Go, which is like the most random crossover I could think to do. But it turned out to be a whole lot more than that.
You know what? After the fact, after we watched this, it actually doesn't seem that random, because I looked into it, and all these shows actually already have prior history of doing crossovers. So, of course, OK K.O had that Captain Planet one, and they just had the Ghoul School one like a week ago. Steven Universe had the one with Uncle Grandpa. Ben 10 had some with Generator Rex and Secret Saturdays, and then Teen Titans Go had some with Young Justice and Powerpuff Girls. So I'm wondering if maybe they took that into consideration when they were doing the crossover, or if it just so happened that they picked like their biggest shows and they also just did crossover episodes. I'm just wondering what went into that.
I'm thinking it's just Ian likes to cross over with stuff, but that's just me.
I feel like these were like, at the time this was being developed, they were just all the shows running at the time. But, I mean, even shows that haven't even premiered yet are in this.
Yeah. So, basically, the whole conceit of this episode is that, I mean, this is only 11 minutes long, so they just jump right into it. KO is just brought into this, what is ostensibly the city from the Cartoon Network City Bumpers from yesteryear. Which, fun fact, everybody, is the song we use to intro every single podcast. But yeah, that's the theme song for our podcast.
I never realized that.
Yeah, so
how come we weren't in the crossover?
Oh, yeah, we wish.
I guess we're just not cool enough.
We're not. But yeah, KO is just thrown into this, and where he's confronted by this man named Strike, who. I was on the KO wiki, and I love that someone had put down that he may or may not be the physical embodiment of cancellation.
I kind of got that's what they were going for. Also, should be noted he's voiced by Michael Dorn, who also reprised his role as Weasel from I Am Weasel for like a line, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily cancellation, since a lot of the shows that were there, like, just so people listening know, the shows mentioned are by far not the only ones in this crossover.
No.
But I mean, there were plenty of characters from shows that were still going, too. Like, Craig of the Creek character was there, and that just got renewed for a second season.
The
And
villainous
plus, like-
characters there, and that show's not even out yet.
Yeah. Vincent
Yeah.
and Valentino's in there. Infinity Train is in there. Basically, this
How
entire
crazy.
episode is one big love letter to the entire history of Cartoon Network.
Yeah, not just the modern current stuff.
Oh,
but,
no,
like,
they
way
got
back.
some deep cuts.
They got so many deep cuts. It's like I'm still kind of in shock by some. of
Like, and it's not even just the shows. I mean, the girl from Magoozy, which was like a programming block back in the day. I think one of the Clyde robots from Toonami is in there.
that blew my mind.
They have the little
the Magoozy one.
Yeah, they have the little money figures from that branding era back in the day.
The CN nudes.
Yeah, the nude.
Oh yeah, the nudes.
Yeah. And then the whole setting of the Cartoon Network city, which I still maintain is the best branding they've had ever.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that was just one big crossover in between shows all the time. So,
It was weird for a little time there after they'd done the CN City stuff. They kind of were doing a little bit of it, like with the crossover between cartoons, like as bumps. Like I remembered they did one of like a movie theater, but because there were so few originals at the time, everyone was like staggered out and looked really sad, as opposed to like CN City like bumps when they were doing where there was just like. Well, and you know what? And the thing is, they counted like a bunch of old ass Hanna-Barbera stuff too. So it's like it's not really cheating, but I mean, if we're just like cartoons up,
yeah.
The stuff that people will recognize for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the big focus here is K.O, Steven Universe, Ben 10, and Teen Titans Go, which are pretty much the four biggest shows Cartoon Network has running right now.
I didn't really realize that I know that Ben 10 premiered like 12 years ago, but I didn't really think that it's been around for 12 years. Like I looked and it has 5 shows and like a few live action movies. And it's pretty insane because when I was thinking when I saw them announce this crossover, I was like, Steven Universe, okay, yeah, Teen Titans Go, yeah, and then Ben 10, I was like, I mean, I didn't really watch that, growing up or anything, so I thought it was a little weird, but
yeah.
This is like the current iteration of Ben 10. This is like a reboot that started maybe like 1 or 2 years ago. So this version hasn't been around that long.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Teen Titans Go of Ben 10, where it's more comedy based.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been funny if they had previous versions of Ben, like frozen. Like he just has like an existential crisis, like just finds like a pile of Bens.
They actually kind of make a joke about that towards the end of the episode that like made me really laugh. Is the part where Raven's giving everyone their portal back and she accidentally almost goes back to the old Teen Titans.
God, they will not stop shitting on the original cartoon, will they?
I just thought that was funny. It's like, damn it, we were so close.
Oh.
Yeah, so they all have to team up to fight Strike, and
which
they do.
Let me say, not the best villain. I mean, he wasn't awful, but I think he's just way overshadowed by all of the references and everything.
I mean, you also got to imagine they had 11 minutes to build this villain up, and of course, we're going to spend more time on the building up the team.
Yeah, and honestly,
like
I think this special should have been at least a half hour, like 2 episodes at least, but because it's great seeing like this giant crossover between everything Cartoon Network's ever made, but like it feels extremely rushed.
Yeah, the pacing's all over the place, but I mean, it's cool for what it is.
Yeah,
like I would love if they did another one of these, like a couple seasons from now, or probably they'll do it like a few episodes from now at the rate the crossovers are going. Ian loves his crossovers.
Hey man, he's gonna mine that for all it's worth.
Hey, I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Like OK K.O. is like perfect for crossovers. Like, do more of them. Honestly, just keep doing
I mean, now they've pretty much got a full license to do it, because it's like, well, we've crossed over with literally everything, so we can do whatever we want now.
Yeah, and they've now crossed over with every single Cartoon Network show.
Yeah.
Now they just got to cross over with all the third-party licensed from Canada cartoons that get shown on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, where was Total Drama in this?
Where was Johnny
Yeah.
Test?
It's such a pivotal moment in Cartoon Network history.
Well, see, the thing is, there's a lot of jokes they could do there, because I think OK K.O. is at least a Canadian dubbed show. I know they say sorry.
I think that's a joke. I think that's a joke, though.
Is
Like
it?
they say sorry. They all say sorry on purpose.
Yeah,
I just thought Lakewood Plaza Turbo was in Canada. Like, I just kind of assumed that.
I mean, I guess there's nothing to go against it.
Yeah, that's just my headcanon.
Yeah.
So.
I did think it was kind of weird, because for the longest time I've been told that Cartoon Network couldn't do anything with Megas XLR and Symbionic Titan because they'd sold the rights off for like tax reasons. But characters from that show up in the background for this, so makes me wonder.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. I mean, I have no idea how that sort of thing works, so I'm just kind of talking out of my ass on this, but maybe they can still use the characters and stuff, but can't actually like air the show itself or something. I don't know.
Maybe
That might be it.
Or maybe they just figured, well, no one's gonna care. Just use them.
Yeah.
It might just be some weird issue with like I know there's there's something that like this is not related to Cartoon Network, but just as far as licensing or using characters or whatever goes, I know that in certain iterations of like Teen Titans and any of the teen-based DC shows, they usually can't use the Wonder Woman-based teen, like Wonder Lass or Wonder Girl or whatever, unless they're like a main, like they can't show up as like a guest in an episode. They have to be part of the main team or something. I know it's not related, but that's just kind of like a weird sort of aside.
I remember because I think they wanted to use, for the original Teen Titans show, they wanted to use Wonder Girl, but I think you're right. For some licensing reason, they couldn't have her appear. I know she popped up in the background of an episode once, but that was it.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, the ones for this episode are just cameos, and most of them are still image cameos. For that fact, they don't have any voice acting, so I'm sure there was no real big issue with that.
Yeah.
Obviously not if they were able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure if it were a problem, someone would have pointed something out at some point.
Right. I mean,
hope someone was fired for that blunder.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of cool that not just that they were bringing back the characters, but they even were taking some musical cues and putting it into the score for the episode.
Yeah, like that whole bit.
Yeah, they played like the CN City theme when the city's being rebuilt, and the big part where Ben does like his giant "I'm gonna transform into every single character" is actually like the music from Cartoon Fridays.
Yeah, the Cartoon Fridays. I
thought that was funny. But yeah, this
cartoon.
Like I was saying, this is just like a giant love letter to like everything Cartoon Network's ever made. Like Ian just pulled out every obscure thing he could pull up. Like, yeah, like we're saying, like
Moxie.
the Moxie show shows up, and the Magoozy Girl.
I never thought in a million years they would ever bring Moxie back. Like even when Cartoon Network does stuff like this, like, Cartoon Fridays or whatever, just anything where they have all their characters, they've never once used Moxie for anything. This is the first time he's been seen since his show.
Well,
they're gearing up for that big Moxie reboot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the trivia for this episode, and it's saying that Moxie hasn't been officially acknowledged since 2002.
Even then, I don't remember him being acknowledged in 2002. Like, if it were me, I would have said he hasn't been acknowledged since like 1996.
Yeah. Jesus. Even, do you guys remember the shorts anthology Sunday Pants?
Yes.
Like the fucking character from that shows up.
They had they had Periwinkle from Periwinkle Around the World.
And then the fucking gopher from Reanimated, and like that character from that fire breather movie that they made.
like we said, they go for the really
this
deep
is deep cut shit.
Yeah.
They had Yumi from Hi Hi Puffy Yumi, and I think this is the first time that's been acknowledged in a long ass time.
That one definitely took me by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, she was like front and center too.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that was like a CN original. For some reason, thought that was like a show that was like one of those third-party shows that they licensed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Robot Jones was there, complete with his original voice.
His original voice? Yeah, no, that was really interesting.
I
guess even they acknowledged that most people didn't like when they redubbed all the old episodes with the new voice.
Well, like, was it like a legal thing? I thought I remembered hearing like they didn't actually like have the license to use that voice. I mean, I could be wrong. That was just what I heard, but that would make sense. That's like the only reason I could imagine them changing it for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I'm kind of glad that Ben is transformed for the majority of this episode, if only to keep Tara Strong from doing double duty.
Yeah, I had that same exact thought. I was wondering if that had to have been an intentional choice specifically so that Tara Strong wouldn't be voicing half of the episode.
Yeah. My wife actually made a joke while we were watching. It was like, well, Tara Strong's really getting her money's worth out of this one.
It turned out John DiMaggio got a fair bit of play in this too.
Yeah.
But that was who voiced his forearms, right? John?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he
voiced
shows up as
for a bit there too.
Yeah, it was really kind of weird seeing Jake and Finn show up like right after their series ended.
I wonder if like they wanted to originally do an Adventure Time character for this crossover, but they knew that it was like winding down production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like it gets a pretty good amount of screen time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just... no matter what era of Cartoon Network you were a fan of growing up, there's something here being represented in one way or another.
You know what's one that kind of took me by surprise at first was the character Festro from Secret Mountain Fort Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys remember that one?
Yeah, because I think Ian worked on that, so I'm not really surprised that it's so up in your face.
Yeah, I was at first, and then until I remembered he worked on that, and I was like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that took me by surprise was there's a character from Robotomy in there.
Oh, yeah.
I did not remember the character's name, but I noticed him, and I couldn't remember it because I haven't watched it since it aired or whatever. But was it just like one pilot, or was it like a handful of episodes?
It was a full season.
I don't know how long a season. I think it was like half a season.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, like they only ordered. I think they aired all of them, but I think they just like had a low episode order.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders, like, because they liked doing obscure references with like Captain Planet's not really obscure, but the Ghoul School stuff was obscure, so I'm wondering if maybe this episode would have been even more interesting if instead of the team of Garnet, Raven, and Ben, if they would have gone with older, more obscure Cartoon Network. Like if they would have had Moxie as one of the characters and like, a Robotomy character and like something else. Like,
give it time. I'm sure given this chance, Ian will bring these characters back to do something.
Right.
And
I wonder how much money it would take to get Bobcat Goldthwait in.
I don't know.
Right.
He'd probably do it.
Speaking of money for voice acting, that was something that surprised me when this one got announced was Garnet being the representative for Steven Universe, because when you kind of figure Estelle's her voice actor, and I figure that she's not... Yeah, so you think they would have wanted to go with one of the other characters that don't have like a big price tag on them, like Amethyst or Pearl or somebody. But I mean, it definitely, I guess if they needed like a leader character for this episode, I mean, they did a good job picking Garnet.
And I think it was actually kind of sweet how they gave KO and Garnet a relationship like that, because it's really funny, because obviously Ian's got his show and then Rebecca has her show, and they're been long time together, so getting their characters,
there's a lot of
best friends was kind of cute.
Plus, Ian worked on Steven Universe, so he has experience working with Garnet already.
Mm-hmm.
And Ruby from Steven Universe's design is based on KO.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's another little interesting connection there.
And for you Steven Universe fans out there,
I'm here.
Rebecca said that this episode is not canon within Steven Universe, but it does. They said they would reveal something canon about Garnet, and it was funny that they said that her sunglasses actually serve a purpose. They're not just on there. They're like focus your future sight.
They provide clarity and focus to user future vision, and also their prescription.
Their prescription,
which was a really funny joke to me.
But
because who prescribed it?
Yeah, that leads to another series of questions. But yeah, I think all in all, I really like this. I mean, I really like watching KO. I think it's a fun, goofy show.
Yeah, I like it. I like
OK
K.O. a lot.
And
it's very fun.
Yeah, and then as much as just having things show up and say, hey, look at this, remember this, can sometimes be kind of lazy. Just the fact that they pulled every reference they possibly could for the entire history of Cartoon Network, I don't know, it warmed my heart a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I think things like this are fine every now and then. Like, I've seen some people who are like, oh, it's just, shameless fan service. But, it's not like shit like this happens every day. I think we can have something that's just pure fan service once in a while.
It's shameless fan service, but it's shameless fan service to everything.
Yeah. They just don't know how to have fun.
Right.
Even if it was a character that didn't have a speaking role, they still reference, like, just about every show, every era. They had the Super Chunk guy as graffiti on one of the walls. I'm looking at this list of references. Besides just the characters, they also had stuff like Ghost Planet from Space Ghost Coast to Coast was floating around in the background.
Oh, cool.
I was surprised there's a poster for season 5 of Samurai Jack. That was an Adult Swim.
The Adult Swim season.
I guess that's the next thing KO's got to cross over with, right? Is Adult Swim.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, they're going to do their big Adult Swim
like
crossover.
The Aqua Teen Hunger Force is going to be there. Harvey Birdman will be there.
Oh, we got to talk about the Harvey Birdman thing when that comes out.
I can't wait. And they had a bunch of... in the big final shot of CN City, they show a lot of locations. They have, like, Mouse Market from Powerpuff Girls. Finn and Jake's Treehouse are there.
And
the Kids Next Door treehouse was there, too. I remember seeing that.
And
Marzipan City, Billy's house.
And that's really cool because... a lot of the shows that they showed in that final shot never made it into the Cartoon Network City bumpers because they hadn't been, they hadn't been made yet. So it's cool to see like an updated layout of the city with like some of the new locations put in there.
You know what's funny? Even after the CN City bumpers stopped over here in the US, they kept making them in... I'm not sure exactly where. I just know...
I think it was Latin America. I know what you're talking about.
That sounds right. Yeah, they did more. Like, they went all the way up through Flapjack, I think.
Damn. Well, way to go, Latin America.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for not sharing them.
Damn.
Part of me was wondering... because I know for crossovers that Cartoon Network has done in the past, the names of them have been kind of... they've been like pretty complicated. Well, not complicated. They're complicated in a fun way. Like that one Alien one they did with like Fosters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So So this crossover special for KO is called Crossover Nexus, but in this show they call their team name OK Ben Let's Go Universe, and part of me kind of wishes that they did call it that, because that's just like pretty ridiculous. And it's like if you were looking at like an episode list and you just saw Crossover Nexus but you didn't see like a description of what it was.
Yeah.
But then if you saw that name, OK Ben Let's Go Universe, they can kind of piece together maybe like, oh, okay, that's just a whole bunch of stuff there.
Yeah. And
They even referenced CN Real.
they sure did.
Wait, did they?
I think so. Looking at this list, it doesn't mention it, so forget I said anything. Never mind, they didn't do that.
Well, I mean, you can technically, if they had one of the gophers from out of Jimmy's head, I guess that's technically
That
CN
kind of
Real.
counts.
Yeah. That's not
God,
entirely.
that
But I
show-
think-
When are we going to do an episode on Out of Jimmy's Head?
I don't think you can, right? There's like a non-complete record of that show online, right? It's like one of those lost media things.
I was talking to some friends the other day who said there were actually some episodes found,
Oh, well.
but I'm not seeing them anywhere. I might need to look for them.
You do some research, you get back to JD, and then force them to do an Out of Jimmy's Head episode, and then they'll have to end the podcast
There you go.
afterward. They'll be able to live up.
The big finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of JD's head.
Jesus. I'm looking at the some trivia for the episode, and it's saying that the only things from the Cartoon Network history that don't appear are Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the What a Cartoon Show, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Class of 3000, Transformers Animated, Secret Saturdays for some reason. I don't know what Elliot from Earth is. I don't remember that.
I think that's actually an upcoming thing. I think I heard that that's an upcoming cartoon made by some people on the Gumball team.
Oh, neat. I guess they'll need something to do since that's winding down production too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says the other things that didn't show up are stuff that were co-productions like Robot Boy, Hero 108, and Cramp Twins.
Oh god.
And then obviously
Cramp
anything
Twins.
made on Adult Swim.
Cramp Twins wasn't even originally on Cartoon Network anyway. I think it was originally on Fox Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on
WWE.
on the Fox box.
The Fox
Fox Box, that's what it was.
But yeah, that's I mean, it was a fun 11 minutes of history.
That kind of bums me out that Class of 3000 didn't even get a reference. That was a good show. I like that show.
I honestly wonder.
Yeah, there's still a lot of love for that show.
Well, I wonder if that they couldn't because of like rights with Andre 3000.
It's not like they're throwing his songs in there, just characters.
Maybe I don't know if maybe he like co-owns that or something.
Oh, maybe.
It's I don't know, since about 5 years ago they did their big Cartoon Network 20th anniversary, and they did have Class of 3000 on like a big wallpaper mural thing they did. I would have assumed Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi would have been.
Yeah.
I thought I remembered hearing that the band actually owns the rights to the show. I mean, that could be wrong too. That's just something I heard.
Maybe they're just good sports.
Possibly. I don't know how any of these rights issues work. So
yeah.
But, as long as they were there.
Yeah. Secret Saturdays is one that I was kind of surprised to see it wasn't in there because they've crossed over with Ben 10. So
yeah, I mean they had Generator Rex. They had that Fire Breather movie. I would assume those would be about as obscure as Secret Saturdays was.
Yeah, Fire Breather. I think this like. Jeez, I had to like think for a second. Like, oh yeah, it was that weird CGI dragon movie they made back in the day.
Yeah, there was one thing that I didn't know it was from, and I don't think anybody did. No one pointed it out yet.
Is it that weird cat thing?
Yeah, it's the cat.
Nobody knows what it is.
It's I have no idea what it could possibly be.
When we find out what it's from, it'll be too late.
Like, I want to know if anyone's like tweeted Ian and it's like, what the hell is this thing?
How do you explain this, Ian? How do you explain this cat, huh?
It's like so like like the shape of it is so vague. It's just this big cat. I need to know.
It's the classic Cartoon Network cat.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know, from the Cartoon Network cat show.
It's just an amalgamation of all cats. It's SWAT cats and it's Meowth from Pokemon and what other cat things have been on Cartoon Network?
Did you just say SWAT cats?
Sure. But yeah, where's
there
SWAT
we go.
cats in this?
Well, that's one of those. They didn't really reference a bunch of older, the Hanna-Barbera
That's
stuff.
right,
I think it was just
Hanna-Barbera
everything
stuff
from
never did show
cartoons up.
That's no excuse. Dexter's Laboratory and Powerpuff Girls were Hanna-Barbera. So was Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken.
No, but they all moved production to Cartoon Network Studios at some point during like halfway through the seasons. So they're cartoons. They count, obviously.
Yeah.
I
They
know-
got
I
that
know-
branding on them.
I know Two Stupid Dogs didn't count since it originally premiered on TBS.
Huh.
Oh, did it really?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like a lot of people who went on to work on Cartoon Network shows got their start on that, but it was originally I'm pretty sure it was a TBS show. I know it wasn't made for Cartoon Network originally. Oh, and that would actually explain why SWAT Cats wasn't there either. It was also made for TBS.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting.
So not technically Cartoon Network originals.
Well, all right then. So yeah.
They referenced Tickle You. Like this is the main draw of this episode. Like we said, it is just shameless fan service, but just pointing out all of it. They had like a reference to JBVO. You guys remember that one?
Was that the one where Johnny Bravo had a talk show?
Yeah, it was a talk show, and he just took requests from callers about what cartoons to air.
I kind of have a vague memory of that. Yeah.
They had like the logo in spray paint on one of the walls. They had like Tickle You. That was like some like Nick Jr.-esque.
Yeah, it was
block
like
that
preschool
lasted,
programming.
like,
It was
a year.
on during the day.
Yeah. Har Har Thursdays, the Cartoon Network Shorties.
Oh,
Jeez, they just had everything.
Yeah.
I saw the Thursdays thing because that was graffiti on the wall. That was pretty visible. I didn't
Yeah,
see that. Yeah.
Just
that's pretty cool.
It's like Smash Brothers. Everybody's here.
That's exactly what I said to some of my other friends.
It's the most ambitious crossover this year.
Yes.
Forget about Smash Brothers and Infinity War.
Smash Brothers like this is the most ambitious crossover, and Cartoon Network's like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we could get a good Smash Brothers ripoff of Cartoon Network.
They had
no, you're not
Punch
gonna
Time
get that.
Explosion.
Yeah, that's
It's a
why I
good
said
one.
I'd like a good one. I bought Punch Time Explosion on the PS3 for like $3, and I still feel ripped off.
They should have given you
Hey,
money
you
to
know
get
what?
it out of there.
You know what though? Punch Time Explosion still better than PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Oh, that
I wish
hurts.
that would have been better.
That's low.
Listen,
I'll defend
Parappa was
that
a
game.
character. I would have loved it to have been better, but it wasn't. It just wasn't.
Hey, I'll defend that game somewhat.
Somewhat.
I thought it was kind of fun. I had a good enough time with it.
Apparently not good enough because I bought that game with the sole intention of playing with you and your friends, and then we played like one match and then never again.
Yeah, and now they're taking the servers down for it.
Oh.
so much for
really?
that. Yeah, that's going down if it isn't already.
Oh, rip.
All right then.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But one thing I liked about the characters who had been statuized in this episode, whenever it's like a team of two characters, both characters got X'd out.
Oh yeah.
So like Kelsey and Mortimer from Craig of the Creek both had X's, and then also Greg and Jason Funderburker from Over the Garden Wall.
Jason Funderburger.
Everyone's favorite frog companion.
I love that frog. He's a good boy.
I need to rewatch Over the Garden Wall for Halloween this year.
It
I
is
do
the
too.
season for it.
It's a good
Tis the season.
Yeah.
tis.
Do we have anything else to say about it? This was a pretty straightforward special. I
Yeah.
mean, just 11 minutes.
It was
There was one. But there was one last thing I wanted to bring up because I thought it was really interesting. Was when KO and Ben and Garnet are like sort of walking through the alley before they meet Raven, and they're like explaining what universe they're from. Or no, I guess I'm sorry, when they do meet Raven too. So Garnet explains, from the crystal gems, and it has like a little splash screen behind her that has Steven and Pearl and Amethyst. When they meet Raven later, and they're like, I'm from the Teen Titans, and they just show like silhouettes, and they don't actually show the characters. I thought that was kind of interesting that they would do that.
I did want to ask about that, because even though silhouettes are kind of vague, because I was wondering about this. Since Raven is owned by DC Comics, which technically Warner Brothers owns, is there some weird rights issue that they had to make to get Raven in there to represent Teen Titans Go, because that's like their biggest show, but they couldn't get the rights to show the other Titans?
I kind of had that same thought. Yeah,
DC is kind of weird with how its characters work. I know, like, during the run of the original Teen Titans, they couldn't... Well, we talked about it with, like, Wonder Girl, how they couldn't use, like, certain characters and stuff. I don't get why that would be a problem with this, since, they had Raven, and, she mentions Beast Boy by name, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they didn't show him, so...
Yeah, but, I don't know, maybe it is a weird rights issue, or maybe they just thought, maybe it was just a stylistic choice.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
There's literally no way for us to ever know.
Unless somebody that works from DC or Cartoon Network listens to the show.
Yo, DC.
And they'll comment on the YouTube comments. Yeah.
Alright, guys. Well, you got anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Said everything I need to say.
Hashtag bring back Moxie.
Yeah, there we go. We'll start the campaign.
Let's get that trending, everybody. I want to see everybody tweeting that out. And if you don't, I'm going to be really upset.
To make sure you tag Bobcat Goldthwait when you do it, too.
Yeah.
Alright.
One thing I saw earlier on Twitter was somebody who worked on this special said for Knuckles, for Flapjack, they really wanted his statue to be when he does that. You know that scene with the dog? He does the flip and Knuckles goes, "Ooh!"
Yeah.
He said they really wanted to use that face for him, but they had to go with the more recognizable version.
That's the best.
That seems like a weird choice to, like, how did he pick what characters to take from each universe? Because, like, these characters that we had on the team made sense. They're all pretty good warriors. But then you have ones like Double D from Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Yeah, like...
I think when they use the term hero, they use it in the OK K.O. sense, where everyone that lives in that universe is a quote-unquote hero, even though...
By hero, they just mean main character.
Yeah.
One of them, anyway. Because they also had... let's see, I'm looking through the list. They had... Rodney from Squirrel Boy. I don't know if I'd consider him much of a hero.
No.
Or like Lou from Mike, Lou, and Og. That seems like a weird one to pick of the three.
Yeah. They had Grimm, but they didn't have Billy or Mandy, as far as I know.
Yeah, Grimm's not really what I would call a hero. He's usually responsible for death.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works.
But he is probably my favorite character in Billy and Mandy, so they made the right choice.
There you go. So
your favorite's not House Delgado?
House Delgado.
Haas is up there. He's definitely up there. Hey, if they had that Underfist spin-off show, we could have had both. But, we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah.
This world, it's sad. It's a sad world we live in.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Alright, guys. Well, I think it does it for us this week. Dustin and Matt, thanks for being on.
No problem, but you owe me one.
Alright.
Thanks for having me on, JD.
I'm going to ask you for a favor one day.
I don't know when or how it'll come, but one day.
You guys remember that scene in Rugrats in Paris where they did a Godfather parody with the babies?
I sure do.
How weird was that?
It was very weird.
Do you think any kids watching went, yes, that's a reference to The Godfather?
I'm sure it was more a reference for the parents, but, you know. Alright, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Bye,
Catch you on
everyone.
the flip side.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.